Hello, everybody. We are going to take a few minutes and wait and let people join the room, but we're going to get started with our webinar. The name of this webinar is Unlocking the Full Funnel, How Seven Gables 3x'd Organic Traffic and 2x Engagement with Union Street and Local Logic. We'll give it a couple more minutes. We usually like to try and start at like 102, 103, just to give the stragglers a chance to put the cream in their coffee. Otherwise, I will say to everybody, happy Thursday. I'm off tomorrow, so I'm pretty stoked about that. And so I'm gonna jump on a plane and take a long weekend. And then also headed to Inman. If anybody's going to Inman next week in San Diego, feel free to say hello.
It's supposed to be gorgeous next week,
I
actually.
know it's supposed to be like low 70s, supposed to be very beautiful. I know. Great reason to go. All right, let's do introductions real quick here. Jen, I will start with you. If you don't mind introducing yourself to the
I'm Jen Harty. I'm the director of marketing for Seven Gables Real Estate. We're a large independent brokerage in Southern California. I've been in the advertising space for like 25 years, long time. I've been in this real estate space for about 6 years. And before that, I did a kind of a variety of things in terms of different industries. And since I've been here, we've really grown as a brokerage. And as you know, the industry has changed quite a bit. So we've tried to keep up.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Christian, to you.
Thanks, Audrey. Happy to be here. Hi, my name is Christian Kelley. I'm the Director of Strategic Accounts at Union Street Media. We're we are an independent real estate website company. We build websites and we have a marketing intelligence platform for real estate. I've been in the industry for 7 years, although some will refer to them as dog years. and really excited to be here for this webinar.
Appreciate it. Yes, 7 years in the real estate industry, especially doing strategic enterprise sales, is a lifetime. And especially successfully. And so just and Union Street, I don't know if you have 2 seconds on Union Street in terms of exactly what they do real fast. Seven Gables, we know, is an independent brokerage. I think you have just shy of like 500 agents, right? And you largely serve the SoCal area, is that right? Or
Yes. So LA, Orange County, and the Palm Springs, Palm Desert
okay.
area.
Okay, I just think that's relevant. And Union Street, largely front end website, some back end tools, right?
Yep.
But you guys do serve a lot of the larger independents in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we have a lot of marketing intelligence tools and marketing technology that it helps empower brokerages like Seven Gables to achieve their goals,
Okay.
which we're going to talk about today.
Well, let's jump into it then. Let's get into the meat of it. Okay. Hang on one second. I'm going to reel off some stats. Okay. Let me close my screen so I can focus. Okay, so success metrics. Since Union Street Media, Local Logic, and Seven Gables started to work together, this is the most important part, really, folks. A 224% year-over-year increase in organic traffic. That was 224%. A 58% month-over-month growth in organic traffic. 83% year-over-year increase in key events site-wide. An increase of 46% average month-over-month growth in views across products, a 75% average month-over-month growth in interactive engagement, such as clicks on maps, demographics, etc. One more to go, 74% year-over-year increase in average time spent on our community pages. Um, you know, just massive. These are just massive statistics. They're real. We wouldn't have done the webinar if they weren't true. We have all the participants here to validate those statistics. So let's talk about them for a minute. I think, look, this is why we're doing the webinars, because we're all really proud, right? And it's exciting. And I think Seven Gables is nice enough to share their success because not everybody does. Not all brokers want to be open and share. So I appreciate you being the thought leader in the room. So can you tell us a little bit about, Jen, what caused Seven Gables to head down this road? And why you selected us? Where was your head? What were your goals? I assume these success metrics were considerably higher than you expected, but what was your intention?
Well, so I would say about 2 years ago, when we saw the real estate market starting to shift and make a big change, we decided to really hone in on our consumer experience,
Mhm.
and ask ourselves, are we providing one that's relevant and valuable to today's home buyer and seller? So the first place we looked was our website, being our largest digital asset and really where most consumers go first. And just look to see if the current website that we had offered relevant content and tools that would help them on their journey. And while it was a nice looking site, there really just wasn't much to it. There was really no reason to go to it, and there certainly wasn't really any reason to stay on it. So we decided to look for a partner that could help us revamp it. And one of our business goals at the time, and still is to use data more strategically to help us really learn what we're doing right, what we need to do differently, especially in the marketing space. And so this is where we were focused.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And I appreciate that. And I do think, like, I'll just say this before but as they say, popcorn over to Christian. I'll say that I do think that the shift in the industry, rules and standard practices, I do think is pushing the consumer back to brokerage sites. So I think whereas, look, the portals matter and people go to the portals, but I do think like people are getting a little more localized. They're more likely to go to their broker site. I don't think there is the sense anymore that the data is not there, right? So I think it's like if you get them there, let's make sure we keep them there and don't give them a reason to leave the site, right?
Right.
Give them all the information. Go ahead, Jen.
Right. And one of the reasons why we chose Union Street was because of that strategic SEO package that they provided. Because even if they got there, we needed to know that they were there. And then what were they doing there? And so Union Street was able to give us those analytics and still are. And that's been tremendously helpful for us.
What always amazed me, I do have a little background in this. When I was running List Hub, we used to run reports on traffic reports, and the brokers that would give us let us, collect the redirects and stuff like that for them. We found that like companies like I'll give Long and Foster as an example. Long and Foster had a we typically did beat like Zillow if you were in their local market for actually traffic and eyeballs. So people, yeah, we're always talking about it at a national scale, but especially for localized brokers, they do actually are very likely to go to a Seven Gables or whatever, or any of those, a Kai's, a Bear. They know they're large, independent, trusted partners, and they do go to those sites.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. And Christian, for you, like, you talk to a lot of brokerages. Okay, so we have Seven Gables, grateful for that. But what's common in the conversations that you're having with other sort of similar players?
Yeah, well, one thing that you touched on, Jen, and we've discussed it quite a bit. One thing that I find as a commonality is most brokers really struggle. They have these incredible brands and they have a lot of value to offer to the marketplace, but they don't know how to communicate that through their digital presence. Whether it's by providing critical assets like community information or telling the story about why a specific market is right for them. And so our team, in combination with a lot of our partners, put together a solution that completes that conversation and keeps them on your site. And we have some really interesting data. It's a bit dated, but I think it's still relevant. Where around, and I think it's still relatively relevant. Where around 30% of transactions take place on major portals. That still leaves 70% of transactions in the industry happening on a more localized level. Because when you're making a big purchase like a home, especially homes in your market, Jen, that are over $1 million on average, uh, that the details become more and more important. And that's where you need to have those local experts and that more localized information so that they can make a better decision and know that you're the right choice to work with.
So it's a common need. I mean, that's the bottom line,
Oh, yeah.
right? I mean, these aren't just about the independents. This could be, even if you're owned by Berkshire Hathaway or whatever, you're still, huh?
You need to still be local, no matter who you're with. It's
Right.
critical to the consumer experience to have local knowledge. There's
And
just,
it is funny because again, people might start at a portal, they might or might not. But there are a million ways to look. we all want to be above the fold in the first five, right? So I think what Union Street does so well is I do think they're really good at popping a brokerage to being right. They have a lot of SEO stuff that will pop the brokerage to be like right there. The question is when the consumer clicks, what happens to them, right? So for us, we're very focused on engagement. That's our side. So I do think one of the reasons the partnership works so well is that if you take a brokerage that has a good name, you pair it with a website provider that's going to make sure that that name is where it needs to be for when the consumer is searching, and then once the consumer gets there, right, that they're actually engaged in finding the information they care about, that helps them not only buy a house but to continue to position the brand as a local expert, right? Which might be an overused term but matters terribly, right?
Yeah.
It is everything. No matter how many times we say it, it still matters. Right. So on that note, let's kind of talk a little bit about what it means to be a full funnel solution. I do think this is relevant because look, some of the companies and are pairing together that are just basically best in class. So I'm going to ask Christian kind of to describe like what that means, and then Jen, sort of your perspective as a broker, but I'll go to Christian first. How are you guys at Union Street positioning yourself, as sort of part of a full funnel solution, but also best in class? And what does that mean?
Oh man, that's a big one. So we take the approach of we're never going to be the best at everything. We know it. We see it in the market play out over and over again. Where there's a lot of solutions or there's a lot of products out there that try to do everything, and they do a good job at some of them, and they do have a place in the market. Our market, though, is for those who are looking for best in class solutions that need to have the agility to move in a shifting market. You know, so we take the focus of interoperability and ensuring that we can pivot and we can integrate with the best in class industry leading data solution service like LocalLogic or the hottest CRM that's getting the best adoption in the industry. Yeah. And also we hear time and time again, this is such a common theme. A lot of people, they say like, we love this one thing about the solution we're using, but we don't like this other thing, and we have to change everything to change this one thing. We don't we really don't want to put our partners in that situation. We want them to have the freedom to choose what's best for their brokerage. So that's what we believe full solution.
That's what full funnel is, right? For like, look, it is a choice for brokers today. And I don't want to alienate any of my other partners because we work with everybody. So not just Union Street, and we love you all. But agnostic of the names, Jen, right? A broker has a choice, right? There are a number of providers that are full solution. We might do a webinar next month about why it's the power of a full solution. But there are pros and cons for brokers, right? Of getting everything from the system and the negatives. Lest I sound like I'm taking an opinion, because we work with them all. Jen, for your decision, why did you decide to, and for lack of better terminology, and it sounds a bit negative, but piece it together, and instead of just going with a vertical system that has everything? I'm just going to ask it honestly because I think it's the decision you guys had to make.
Right. So we 100% more than once have had tools where we only like one or two pieces of the puzzle. And it's frustrating to have to pay for the whole thing when we really only use one or two things. And that's happened to us more than once and still continues to happen to us. So we really try to look for solutions that just work for us, whether it's a one-off or not. I think that's really key to just building a tech stack. Is it something that's useful and something that's going to help us? And so there you go. And so for us, and with a full funnel approach for us and for a real estate brokerage, really just means, working with a home buyer and seller from the very beginning, from the moment they are thinking about making a move till the moment they close a transaction. That is full funnel for us. And so what worked well with our website is that we were able to build in all three elements of the funnel. So like top of the funnel would be just giving them helpful content to start to think about things. So like neighborhood guides, market updates, things like that. And then the middle of the funnel is giving them tools, right, to start to play around with, which are these the property searches, the email alerts, home valuation tools, all those things we built into our site. And then the bottom of the funnel is just how can they quickly take action? So scheduling a showing, contact an agent, get pre-approved, all of those things they can do on our site. And so we worked with one vendor, but we were able to get that full approach within our website, which was really important to us.
Love that, actually. And I'll tell you the other thing I'm going to add in for my part is paying both host and panelist. Something I talk about a little bit, and anybody who's at a conference will hear me say this. Vendors have to play nicely together. I do think we have a couple of partners we play particularly powerfully with. And that is because the integrations are seamless, they're pretty, they're good. We are discussing the best way that it's advantageous to the broker. And I love those partnerships. I do, honestly, because otherwise, sometimes, candidly, one vendor's trying to work with another vendor. They don't really want to install SSO or integrate. There's an issue and you have to troubleshoot that issue, and it's not really fun because the vendors are pointing fingers at each other. I have to say that with Union Street in particular and some others, we have had such a strong partnership on behalf of you guys, Briggs Freeman. We've troubleshooted a lot because we're learning together in the best way to position everything to provide you the best outcome. And the goal really, I know it sounds so facetious, but the goal really is that if the broker is not successful, there's really no point, honestly. The vendor is dependent on the broker's success, 100%. On that note, I'm gonna go back over to you, Christian. We'll go a little bit infomercially because we only have about 10 minutes. Forgive me. Christian, can you, just so we're not going too much backwards forwards, by the way, if people have questions, please feel free to put them in the question segment and I'll get to them in the Q&A. But Christian, can you just give a general 5-minute elevator pitch of Union Street, and then I will do Local Logic. Then we'll take some questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I don't know if I could do 5 minutes though. I'll do my best.
Okay, we're in the elevator. It started. I'm going up to the 15th floor, bud.
All right, all right. Well, it's lunchtime, so there's going to be a lot of stops and a lot of detours. Now, so one thing I wanted to comment on before I get into that, we have some time, and you touched on it a little bit, Audrey, is when people play nicely together, you get a really high quality outcome. And the one thing that we really value a lot about our relationship, particularly with Local Logic, is that the implementation of their product doesn't disrupt the brand. It feels native. And that's really important. I mean, if you were to go to and don't do it right now, but if you were to go and search for homes on Seven Gables website and you were to toggle the lifestyle search feature at the top above the listings, you would believe that that's native, but that technology, that data is actually coming from Local Logic itself. So just one way that when you have good relationships, you're able to implement at a deeper level and you're able to maintain your brand and make it look cohesive and put together. And those little things matter because your website is the first impression. It's the first thing people see when they look you up after their neighbor recommended your brand or recommended one of your agents. It's one of the first places they go when they see a yard sign of yours. And then maybe the second place is a phone call. So how are you showing up? Are you easy to find? Do you have all the right information? And do you come across as a market leader? And that's something we help brokers every day execute on, and without sacrificing performance. That's key. When you look at Seven Gables website, you might say, okay, it's pretty, but how does it perform? Well, at over a 200% increase in total traffic at a time in the industry where traffic is actually trending downward for the vast majority of brokers, while things are a little bit uncertain. That's what we do. That's who we are. That's what we do. And then we provide you marketing intelligence insights so you can know what your strategies are actually producing for outcomes, which is key to continue to operate intelligently. Lastly, I would add that, like Local Logic, we have a really personal approach to our relationships, and our customers love us. Our retention is industry leading. We have clients that have been with us for over 20 years, and that's something you can't find everywhere. And that's one thing that, even though it's not about data or performance, it really matters. And so there's the
Yeah,
elevator.
that's true. That's good. People, it's funny. I often thought about consulting for websites because I've done so much of it. And I did have a few that I did for free for a few brokers, and they were like, what should we look for? And I was like, well, look for how often they're releasing, how well do they work with others? Do they answer their support requests? Who are you going to get white glove? Like Christian and I do talk about it a lot. Like it matters. I know some percent of my day is making sure that my current customers are happy, not just bringing on new ones, and so is his. Because we know if they're happy, the reputation in the industry will be good. So we don't want anybody to be unhappy. We want them, can't say yes to everything, but we certainly can make sure we can try. So Christian, I like some of the things you said. I love the fact that you're right that it's about just not just going to a vendor and saying, oh, like you're Jen, and you're like, oh, I found this cool tool, just add it, please. It's like, are they embracing it? Are they seeing the value in it? Or are they trying to say, no, no, we do everything. We do everything. You don't need to do that. You know what I mean? As opposed to, well, I think there's value in this. Could you find a way to work together and bring value to me? You know what I mean? So I do appreciate that. Local Logic is about the whole life cycle. Just for what it's worth, my infomercial for 3 floors is basically that we take us at the beginning. We care about, like, we have a tool, of course, that helps people search for property so they can find things. Look, my husband wanted to be near a coffee shop. He wanted to be near a grocery store. We're empty nesters. And you can do that with our tools. It can immediately bring up properties that meet my lifestyle. And then once I get to that lifestyle and I want to know which coffee shops and which grocery stores, it's on every listing detail page. I also am an empty nester. I ended up living with the 20 somethings, but I was curious, what is the average age of the neighborhood? All of that is fair housing. It can't, it's all fair game. But what we're really doing, especially since COVID, to come full circle, is to say, look, we live where we work and we work where we live much more than we used to. And we do care about, walking outside and what's happening, whether it's climate, whether it's anything, we want to know if it's walkable. Sometimes plenty of people they're like, take me out to the country. It doesn't need to be walkable. I don't need the metro. I just want it to be quiet. No bars, please. So all of that really brings in that life cycle. So I think what we're saying in this whole webinar is we're getting people there, we're keeping them there, and we're actually answering the questions that help them make a decision about a property. Sorry, go ahead, Christian.
I was raising my hand about the quiet space. That's me.
Okay, yeah. I think I want to like give it any minute. Let me see. I do have a question. So, um, oh my goodness, who asked this? What do you see people clicking on most, in effect? Um, I don't mind answering. It is a loaded question. It really does. I will tell you, it does depend a little bit on where things are positioned on the site, et cetera, and the area, and whether you're in a super high urban area. But I will tell you that transit is massive for us. Education is massive, and amenities. Then again, all my people in the audience with dogs are looking for where the parks are, because they got to walk their dog. But I will tell you, generically, nationwide, people are looking heavily at transit, education, and amenities. And if you think about that, that is your life. Are you walking or driving, whether you're working or not, right? Are you going, where is the grocery store? Where's the restaurants? And if you have school-age children, where are they going to school? Those are the biggies. They do care about some of the other stuff like parks and bars, you'd be surprised. And health clubs, and I have all of that. And I think they're learning. I'd like to think we're positioning our demographics actually get a lot of traction. I think people are I'm going to pat us on the back and say that sometimes I think it's as much to answer the person's question is, are you positioning it in a way that they're going to understand it in the first place? Is it a data dump, or are you really speaking to the questions I'm asking? So I think it's often about like that. Do I even know that I can ask that question in the first place? And I think we're super interactive. I like to say we're like a children's museum. You can click and play.
I mean, I'd suggest anyone going to our site and checking out our community pages, because that was such a big, that is where we've seen a huge amount of engagement. And back to the question about where people click, you'll kind of see that you can, so if I'm considering 3 different communities, you can hop around and see which ones have what I'm looking for. And you can also see the median home price and all of that. Like, okay, that's too expensive. Okay, that's more in my range. And I would say go play around with it on our site if you're not familiar with Local Logic, and you'll really understand what we're talking
Be
about.
honest. I'm amazed some of the bigger portals don't have community pages, don't have neighborhood pages. I really am. It's such a boon, candidly. It's such a boon to the local brokers that
Mhm.
no offense to Zillow, but that they don't do it. It's near impossible to find community information on Zillow.
And it's such an important part of a consumer's decision. I mean, they're not
Yeah.
just buying a home anymore, they're buying the life.
Yeah, and if you ask yourself, and no offense to Zillow in any way, shape, or form, where the priority of the site is not to be a local expert, it's to schedule a showing.
I know.
Right? Okay. Anyway, go ahead, Christian.
It would be convenient. I'm not sure if this was necessarily focused on Local Logic or Union Street or both. It would be convenient for me to say that community pages were the most clicked page on our website. However, the pages themselves actually perform so well in search engines that the traffic's going directly to them. So our likely most clicked, and I'll have to look at this, but in the past, it has been them going to look at properties. And there is a connection from the community page directly to looking at properties in that community. So so sometimes it does start with them going to your brand where they go to the homepage and then they click into communities to learn more. And then once they've decided they're interested, then they'll go deeper into the site and look at directly at properties. But it's not uncommon for them to go directly from search engines and AI engines to community pages and then straight into listings.
I actually like it too. Like one of our partners has it the other way, where they have they have enough neighborhood information on that. Even if they start at the listing detail page, which is indexed, it clicks over to a community page. So I think that's really smart too. So
Yes.
really, no matter where you start, you end up with the information you want. We got another question, and we have about 1 more minute. This is a great question. How does Local Logic and Union Street help capture and convert the leads that visit your site? Getting them there and giving them the data, I know, that they want to see is one thing, but what happens next? Are you capturing their contact information? I'm going to let Christian do that first, and I'll answer for us. But go ahead, Christian.
Okay, AI. No.
Okay.
So we do a lot of testing with machine learning models. Our backbone of our marketing platform is built on an AI system. Technically, it's machine learning, and it learns in real time the behavior of the user on the page, and then we optimize our pages and make adjustments and recommendations to brokers like Seven Gables on how we would adjust where this call to action is, whether or not we would do a pop-up, whether or not it'd be forced or encouraged. So we're constantly evolving and going through that process as the market shifts and changes, and we leverage intelligent systems so we can move fast because the market isn't slowing down. Also, and the last thing I'll say on this is that we use market data to make decisions without a human. So we might be running campaigns or traffic might be coming to your website, and we'll be making adjustments to your strategy while you're sleeping to ensure that your conversions are optimized and you're maximizing your conversion rate from the traffic that's being generated by the site and by technology like Local Logic.
Yeah, and I'll do it on our end because I know we're working on this not only in conjunction with Union Street, but it started with you guys. We have people on the site, they're getting a lot of good information, it's keeping them on the site. But as with Seven Gables, we have a reporting product that the agent can then send out with all that same information that both tells about it's a lifestyle report and a market report. I will give a little futuristic thing by the end of September. Now my product people are gonna be really mad at me. That's what it's targeted for. We will have a little widget that we'll be adding probably first to Union Street, I would think, just because we've been talking to them about it, that will capture the lead and say, would you like a marketed report? Would you like a lifestyle report? What would you like? First name, last name, email. And we're looking for that to kind of help complete the funnel. And so it's not only, as we say, to keep them and engaging them, but then also to produce leads. So we'll be looking for that within the next 60 days for sure.
And I know we have to tie this up. I'd like to just teeter off of that just a hair and say that we have some emerging technology that we're really excited to talk about with our partners like Seven Gables that is going to add another double-digit percentage to the total new traffic to their site. Really exciting. It's Zillow level tech. I'm really excited to talk about it. I just can't say too much here.
Okay. Well, there's your teaser. All right. If you want to sync up with Christian or me, I know there'll be an email coming out for all attendees of a copy of the webinar, as I mentioned. But you're welcome to find any one of us on LinkedIn or on our sites, whatever. It shouldn't be too hard. I am Audrey at locallogic.co. So I will point you to anybody you need to find, I promise. But we're happy to kind of discuss it in detail and how it might benefit you. Thank
Yeah.
you guys for taking the time. Thanks everybody for joining and the good questions. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Happy Thursday.
Thanks.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye bye.